There are three requirements that organically bend your work back to individuality and therefore will be incredibly important for any creator, writer, or entrepreneur. So let's understand these three requirements, or there are three parts of a triad essentially. Self-direction. You could see this as the compass. When you are self-directed, it means you are intrinsically motivated because you have a vision you care about and pursue interests that excite you. Most importantly, this implies that there is coherence between who you are, where you want to go, and what you do. And this coherence is a lost art in this world. This is how work feels like play. And without it, you are per definition working in someone else's direction. Number two is self-cultivation. If self-direction is the compass, then self-cultivation is the engine. You cultivate yourself by taking action towards your vision and interests. So you cultivate skills and attributes that make you more valuable, either directly, because they are in high demand, or indirectly, through consilience. The relentless pursuit of your vision and interest is how you gain the capacity needed to become self-sufficient, which is the third of this triad. Self-sufficiency is a necessary externality of capitalism. That's the game we're playing. And how that functions is that you can be self-directed and self-cultivating, but if you aren't self-sufficient, then you will be forced back into someone else's direction. So you cannot continue this path. Self-sufficiency is a result of self-cultivation and self-direction, or at least it should be. And under the idea of sovereignty, it has three levels to it that we need to understand. On the first level, we are moving towards financial independence so that we can go full-time and protect ourselves from having to go back to your shitty job that you hate. So level one is financial independence. Level two is where money enables lifestyle agency in a few meaningful ways. All the practicalities of having money and how it saves time and how it gives you headspace. This is very meaningful. It's a very real function of money. And third, this is where your income is going to grow and allow you to megaphone your vision. So money is potential energy and you can put it back into the business, back into the vision. And this is the last meaningful function of money. Yes, you can also put an Audi RS6 or a Porsche GT in here, but under the idea of sovereignty, they're fucking meaningless. To have a nice car or a nice watch or whatever. It doesn't do anything for sovereignty. These three create a triad and they're interdependent, right? If one falls off, it means you are restricted and therefore not sovereign, okay? Without self-direction, we have no fini or goal. So we lose coherence and meaning. Without self-cultivation, we lack the capacity in skills and attributes. Without self-sufficiency, we don't have the agency to keep things going. And an interesting thing is that in this world, most people go about achieving sovereignty in the wrong way. We start nowadays with a self-improvement phase, just like I did. And you do this until you realize that looks maxing while you can't afford your groceries doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm saying looks maxing because that seems to be the thing of this age. So then typically we go into a discussion between self-direction and self-sufficiency, and we end up choosing to master a skill or get a job so that we relieve this imposing issue of not having money, right? So we go down a path, either we make a shit ton of money or we make a little bit of money. Making a shit ton of money provides us the lesson we need faster, because then we realize, okay, money doesn't create sovereignty by itself, right? You make the 20K per month, and now what? And that now what moment is what brings us to the third. We reach the existential point. We ask ourselves, why am I really here? And this is where we return to self-direction and realize that we have to find a way to integrate all three components to be fully alive and affect change to this cosmic inertia. Whether you have reached this point already or you are still grinding for 20, 50, 100K per month in your business, hoping that this is going to fix everything, your real mission begins when you integrate these in your work, all three of them. So defining such a sovereign project, right, requires a whole article on itself. By the way, if you want to read the full article about this video, subscribe to the Substack and have a look at it. And on that Substack, I will soon write a full article on how to create such a sovereign project, because this is where the whole game starts. Without these 3 pillars of sovereignty, we cannot even create content that's going to cut through the noise in this forest that is the internet. But for the sake of this video, let's say that you have a sovereign project or you have a hunch on what it is you should be doing. Here's why this is going to make you a weapon in the upcoming Renaissance. If your self-direction and self-cultivation is what allows you to create work that transcends this noisy garbage that's out there, and self-sufficiency is the result that allows you to keep doing that and to gain more agency in expressing your voice, then on a practical level, how do these 3 pillars make it so that your work cuts through the noise? And that's where we arrive at novelty and depth. These are the ingredients we are deprived of. If the masses are flattening their idiosyncrasies and repeating each other, but you do the opposite, then you will stand out and your work will have a massive pull. It's like building a digital campfire, right? If the internet is a misty forest where everybody's walking around and we're fucking lost and people are screaming at you through ads and content with megaphones and they all sound the same and you're just lost and you want to find your people. Instead of being another person who's going to scream into the forest hoping something happens, build a campfire. Build a digital campfire that attracts people, and not just people, but the right people. So, novelty versus consensus. When we experience novelty, our brains release dopamine in a different way. It's a more gradual release of dopamine as we also stick with it longer. Infinitely more impactful than sort of shocking, controversy, hooks-based content that just triggers something and then you scroll off and nothing happened. And exactly these novel ideas and perspectives are in an absolute drought at the moment because we're all repeating each other and AI is helping us trend even more towards the average. So to have self-direction implies that you are going your own way and that you are projecting your own significance. Where you see significance in the world, you're projecting that outward based on that direction, instead of conforming to existing ideas. This is one dimension that produces novelty, but this one is more powerful. And it's a word that we mentioned earlier, consilience, which is the concept that attributes, skills, interests, for example, from physics, translate into self-improvement, or how mathematical principles translate to business. Basically, everything is connected to each other. And when we look at consilience in your personal context, we're talking about the synergies between your interests, attributes, skills, characteristics. This is a feature of the generalist. And that's where we see another resemblance between the Renaissance that happened and the one that's in front of us, because the generalist, again, is empowered, has an advantage. And even more so because any narrow expertise at the moment is becoming less and less valuable, because that's exactly what AI is pretty good at. To hit this home with a beautiful example, Steve Jobs used to take calligraphy classes, and at that time his ambitions made him feel like he was wasting his time with these classes. Nevertheless, he learned about the art of writing and creating fonts, and later on those fonts, custom fonts, were an absolute groundbreaking feature that supported this winning product edge that Apple was building. So it became a massive function, this weird little interest of him, in his main quest, which was Apple. So that's novelty versus consensus. One of the major expressions how working from a place of sovereignty is going to completely change your results in this digital world. The second is depth versus surface. To say that depth is lacking in this world would be a severe understatement. It feels almost like with content, nuance has become a nuisance. Most content caters around quick dopamine hits, highlights, controversy, just anything except depth. But playing the surface level game on social media gives you that attention, the unproductive energy of people who are unreceptive of change, which for you as a creator and running a business gives you a vanity metric of views and attention that doesn't do anything for you, doesn't contribute to your goals. Creators see these views come in, pat themselves on the back, start doing more of that, and get completely lost in that forest, because now they're trying to please an audience that is not doing anything for them. And they will also immediately drop you whenever you stop doing it. So you pigeonhole yourself in a niche, you cannot express that in individuality anymore, and you're left there with just bare views that don't do shit for you. In very simple terms, surface engages everyone a little bit, and depth engages your people, the right people, completely and on a personal level. And here I would give a prime example of Harry Miller, who talks about the most random subjects. He makes videos about how to stand, how to walk, comparing mugs, but also about the subject of beauty and masculinity. It's completely random, but always with the same philosophical depth that he puts in every video. And this guy grew his following from 0 to over 200,000 in no time. But not just that, he has an audience that is eagerly waiting. Every new video is something that they've been thinking about and waiting for. When you look at channels like this, they have mastered the art of depth. So where their self-direction propels them, it's the self-cultivation. So obsessing yourself, going into these deep rabbit holes of things that you are fucking interested in, and expressing that depth with passion. That's it. That's what we are missing. So now that we understand how sovereign work implies the novelty and depth that people long for, the final task is to protect ourselves from the quiet averaging effect without losing out on the obvious capabilities and benefits from AI. There are 3 use cases for AI: utility, creation, or exploration. Let's first get rid of the easy no and the easy yes. The first one, of course, is utility. This is sorting through massive libraries of work. It's formatting your own writing. It's any simple process that you can 100x in efficiency by letting AI do it rather than you. This is an easy yes, of course. Then creation is the easy no, the hard pass. So this is where you replace your thinking. This is where you will do exactly what everyone else is doing, and for that reason you will get lost in the noise. You will not be able to find your people. You will slowly, increasingly average your human creative spirit out towards absolute mediocrity. Even if it feels convenient, you have to build constraints here, knowing that it's not only the meaningful path for you, but also the profitable one. And then exploration. It's complicated. This is the connective tissue between your original ideas and how you direct ideation. Let me explain. It's learning new domains by having AI summarize and explain ideas. It's finding patterns in your own thinking and in your own work. It's having your work be criticized. And you could well argue that you have a sort of line of defense if you uphold the critical mind in doing these things, right? You can converse with AI about your work and you don't necessarily have to accept the ideas. You can have AI summarize ideas for you, but it gets very muddy here, because where exactly does this begin replacing your own thinking? Even if AI summarizes a book for you, for example, then the filter is not your mind. The filter is not your thinking, your lens. So you're not picking the things out of there that benefit your consilience and your creative process. AI, based on the statistical average, is choosing what you're supposed to find interesting from those ideas. So it gets very muddy here. Where does it start to substitute your own thinking? Where does it relieve you conveniently from you having to sit in the silence? Would some of the greatest musicians and artists have received their creativity, their ideas, if they didn't sit in that silence? This is the gray area where we have to make sure that AI doesn't become a crutch, so that we don't distort that weird, miraculous creative process. The preciousness lies in the lonely mind of man. We cannot explain how our human spirit works, or where these ideas even come from. And maybe it's exactly that inability that will protect our humanity from being uploaded to this cold database of words. In any case, let's not ask ChatGPT about it.